Today I'm going to talk about the escalating war between Israel and Iran, what it means for the US economy, and basically the economies around the world, and oil as well, oil prices and oil supply. I'm also going to give you a brief snapshot of what's happening in the market. So you brought up speed with everything that's happening, give you the information you need to know if it basically all kicks off, and hopefully how you can profit from this utter mess we find ourselves in. So if you enjoyed today's video, why not like, one, and subscribe to the channel to get more content like this. Okay, so on Friday, Israel did the absolute unthinkable and did a Pearl Harbor attack on Iran, taking out or tried to take out their nuclear facilities and major command and control in the military. Obviously, Iran has made a massive response, which I think has really shocked Israel, and Israel is currently under major fire from Iran with barrage after barrage of ballistic missiles. Now, I'm not going to go into the major all of the war, because that's not really my thing. I'm not really a geopolitical expert, even though I keep an eye on it because I think it's important. But more importantly, let's talk about how this is going to affect the markets and ultimately our finances moving forward. So before I get into that, I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of the markets. So the markets haven't really responded to the new escalating war in the Middle East. S&P is just down 1.13%, Nasdaq down 1.3%. Oil has risen to around $75 a barrel. I'd watch that very, very closely. And I had a look at the top AI stocks as well. They're all down marginally around about 1-2%. So nothing major. But I think moving forward, there's going to be growing uncertainty and volatility in the market. So let's see how this could all play out and how it could affect the markets. Now, the one thing you really want to watch is the Strait of Hormuz. If Iran closes that, basically that's a major shipping route in the Middle East. If Iran blocks it off and closes it off, oil from the Middle East will no longer be able to reach Europe and the US, or the ships will have to take a longer route. So that means oil is going to just skyrocket up. There's going to be massive oil supply issues, but also not oil. We're talking food, products from the Far East. The Strait of Hormuz is an absolutely massive shipping route, probably one of the most important in the world. So if there's any more escalation in the war, or if Israel makes a wrong move, that is going to close. That is going to cause utter chaos in Europe, especially, but also the US. One of the first things that will happen if that happens is the price of oil will skyrocket. Then, as the days and weeks happen after that, there's going to be supply issues, food supply issues. It could very quickly turn into chaos. And also, I think the markets will respond. If oil spikes, I think the markets could suffer badly. And here's the next thing we need to watch out for. We need to watch what Trump does very, very closely. I'm really hoping he's going to stay out of this war, because if the US enters this war with Israel, not only is Trump going against his promises of trying to, bring peace to the US and not drag the US military into any more wars, he's basically driving the US into a major Middle Eastern conflict, putting US potentially up against Russia and and walking blindly into World War III. I think if Trump enters the war, it's going to be all-out conflict in the Middle East. I think the markets will tumble massively, could even crash, and I think the US economy will tank. I think if that happens, I think Trump's presidency he's going to be in trouble, and I mean the US economy is going to be in trouble, and US indices are going to be in trouble. It's going to be utter chaos. And in fact, so I think the two things to watch out for are basically the Strait of Hormuz being closed, because if that closes, there's going to be a massive oil supply problem. It's going to be a shipping problem. food supply issues, the whole rest of it, product issues, especially in Europe. It's going to be chaos. And we definitely don't want Trump and the US entering this conflict, because all chaos will break loose. So what does all this mean? I think moving forward, the market's going to be very, very volatile, really volatile, potentially in the weeks ahead, depending on how this war pans out. Hopefully they'll get around the table and, sort this out around the negotiating table. But like I said, if US enters the war, Strait of Hormuz closes, or maybe if Russia and China get involved, or Pakistan this morning have said if Israel nukes Iran, Pakistan will nuke Israel. If that happens, all bets are off. Hopefully it doesn't get to that, but yeah, this war is a hotbed. So we need to watch things very, very closely. So if you're at all, how can we basically play this to our advantage? Because usually in these times, this is when there's good money-making opportunities on the market. I think the first thing you need to look at and watch closely is the oil price. I don't see oil going down at the moment until this conflict is sorted. If anything, oil's going to go up if the Strait of Hormuz closes. Oil is going to rapidly rise above $100 a barrel, maybe 125 or more. So that means effectively oil's going to rise, petrol prices are going to skyrocket, could go up by 50%, could even double, I don't know. I'm not an expert on this, but that isn't going to be good. So yeah, I'd be looking to possibly, I don't give trade recommendations, but potentially betting on the price of oil through certain funds and indices might be a smart play, because at the end of the day, if the world's going to descend into chaos, you may as well try and play it. So trading on oil or betting on oil going up isn't a too bad move. And one way you can do that is through the US oil fund, which is an ETF. And you wouldn't buy shares in that. You play that basically with options contracts, and basically buy a call option betting on the price of oil going up. But I'm not issuing a trade recommendation there. It's just one way you can play it. Also as well, you can bet on the Nasdaq and S&P 500. The QQQ that tracks the S&P 500. Basically, you can play that again with options. If anything, I think if US gets dragged into a war with Iran, that's going to go down big time. So yeah, there's many ways we can play this by playing, the major US indices, oil, and yeah, I think many stocks would also go down as well if all hell breaks loose. So yeah, there's a couple of ways we can play the chaos through oil and trading the major US indices using options. Now, I'm not going to sort of go into depth of how to do it. I'm just an armchair investor. If you want to learn how to trade the volatility, there's only one guy I follow, and that's Larry Benedict. He's got a service called One Ticker Trader. I'll leave a link to One Ticker Trader down below. He loves trading volatile markets, and I know I'm waiting for one of his updates, because I know he'll be licking his chops, because with this war, I think there's going to be some juicy trades coming up over the next few weeks, depending on what happens. So if you want to trade the markets through leveraged ETFs and options, give One Ticker Trader a try. And Larry's got all the special reports and trainings in there of how to do short-term trades to trade the volatility. Anyway, that's what I've got for you. Keep your eyes peeled on the Iran-Israeli war. Watch for the Strait of Hormuz. Watch oil prices, and watch very closely if the US is going to go into war with Israel. Because if it does, all bets are off. And I think the US market economy, especially, is going to tank like this is Titanic. That's what I've got for you today. Hope you found the update useful, and I'll speak to you soon.